Dope is what flows in this fam's DNA. Dope is what flows in this fam's DNA.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to Dope Interviews, brought to you by the Mighty 19 Media Group, sponsored by Rich Kid Clothing. I'm your host, Warren Shaw, and we've got a banger for y'all today, man. I'm super excited. But as always, you know, you have to rate, review, subscribe, and make sure you stay tapped in with all the great content coming out of the 19 Media Group family. I'll tell you one thing: if you have not heard my guys Mo's podcast, Hip Hop Hidden Gems, you are missing it. He discussed one of the greats out there in Big Daddy Kane and one of the great songs out there in Mortal Kombat. Definitely tap in with that for sure if you haven't heard that one yet. But let me stop being rude, because as always, we have a guest here on Dope Interviews, and it's not just a guest, it's one of my all-time favorite people. He is a long time sneaker executive. He's worked with Reebok and various culture and lifestyle brands, and is here today to discuss his involvement with another project. As the EVP of Blueview Shoes, it's my friend, my brother, Rob Purvy. Rob, what it do, family? What's up?
Man, it's just good to see you again, man. You know how proud I am of what you've been doing. And so funny because you mentioned one of the all-time great rappers, and I was just talking about him earlier today.
Word.
Yeah.
Well, I'll hit you with that offline. I'll slide that one into the messages here. My guy's doing a great show, you know, kind of reviewing hip hop history, if you will, and some of those deep cuts that some people may not have paid attention to from some of your favorite rappers out there. So definitely we'll tap in with that. But we're here to kind of discuss you, man, and your latest project. And this is wild, right? So I'm not going I don't even understand the science. You know what I mean? I don't even understand what I don't even understand. And that's how we do it right now. You continue to innovate and elevate, and you get involved with the most meaningful of things, Blueview Shoes. So I don't want to be disrespectful in any way, but are we really here discussing an algae-based biodegradable shoe right now? That's what we're doing?
That's what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing.
Holy hell. All right. So we have to do the quick rundown. Give me the quick backstory on how you got involved with this project.
Well, you know, it was really interesting because it's a science team. They're based out of UCSD, which is University of California, San Diego. They're one of the top science university teams literally in the country, maybe even in the world. And those guys were really, and ladies, they were really focused on how they can address what is this plastic pollution, which we don't really have at the forefront of our problems, because on our planet, we do have so many problems. So just to put a little context on it, there's about somewhere between 25 to 28 billion pairs of shoes that are made every year for a planet that only has maybe close to 8 billion people. So that's kind of crazy, but you know, and I think all of us, and I think all of us that are really in the sneaker culture, we've really kind of moved away from getting a new pair of sneakers or shoes when they wear out. We get a new pair when we see something we want. I had no idea that I was actually a huge contributor to this problem. I love what I do, will continue to do so. But when I was able to be introduced to them via a guy that I used to work with when I was working at Vans, I just fell in love with what it was about. It was almost like a baptism for me. Because being around these scientists, I was learning so much about the granular aspects of what it takes to make the products that we make. Plastic pollution is a problem. It's a major problem. This group, this science team, they actually figured out a way how to make in simplistic terms, a biodegradable plastic. If you talk to anybody who knows science and understands that world really well, that's supposed to be an impossible thing to do. They cracked the code. When they cracked the code, they felt as though, what are we going to do with it? Because it can do so many things. Because if you look around the room that any of us are in right now, you'll see tons and tons of things that's made out of plastic.
Fact.
They chose one of the things to focus on at this point is how to make a biodegradable shoe. The parts that they addressed are the parts that no one addresses. In the shoes that you probably see right now that are out there that are eco-friendly, they have some sustainable things, some recyclable things, some things that fall under what is considered eco-friendly as part of those brands because you've probably seen a few brands right now that are dedicating themselves to that. But no one talks about what the sole of the shoe is made from. What they invented, what they created, allows you to make a sole that can biodegrade. The challenge for us came, and for myself in terms of what I was contributing to the team, is how do we now make the upper part of the shoe equal to the biodegradability of the bottom? Mm-hmm. That was a 3-year challenge unto itself. Because I was greenwashed, which is the term everybody uses when you're not really telling the truth. Being greenwashed, I thought from an analogous aspect that I would just walk into a place like the way you go in a supermarket and pick the right things off the shelf to actually make this a biodegradable shoe.
Right.
Most of the materials that I thought were the ones that would biodegrade, they don't. They may recycle. Some of it is just BS. So we had to actually go all the way to a point where, as you know, and we all know, most of the shoes that we see in the sneaker industry now are made from some type of knit, whether it's the marketing names that the companies give it. But in reality, the generic name of these knit shoes is called engineered mesh. Those other words and terms that you use from the brands, that's a marketing term that you make up. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, this is going to be really difficult. Long story short, it turned out that by knitting the shoe that we needed to knit, we can't even use the same machines that all of the brands and companies use because you have to have it moving at a different speed. It has to have a different tension and a whole lot of really granular things that just make it so that you can't just go and use any knitting machine to make this up. So we had to do research. We had to learn about the knitting machines. We had to talk to people who understood knitting at a really high level. People that work at companies that they only focus on the knitting. I knew it from, I guess you would say, a general aspect because being trained as a production manager and a product developer, I have a little bit of knowledge about a lot of things, but I was never an expert in something that granular as what type of knit machines we need to use. We solved that problem. That took a while. And there was several other things. When you look at the parts of a shoe that's not sexy, like if you look inside the shoe and pull the parts out of a shoe, none of that stuff inside there are biodegradable by no aspect.
Okay.
So it took 3 years to actually get through what I just still feel like I took too long to tell the story, and it still was a short story. And we just launched the brand less than a month ago. It's available, and anybody can go to blueviewfootwear.com and get themselves some shoes. So, we're really excited about it. We think, for me personally, I do feel like I was footwear baptized. Been in this game for a long time, but I was able to actually learn a lot, teach a lot, do a lot. And the bigger challenge of all of it is we were able to pull this off being completely, not in the game. It's COVID. Yeah. Couldn't get on the plane, couldn't go overseas, couldn't do any of that stuff. So we've done this basically almost virtually.
So you said roughly, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that you've been involved roughly 3 years, and it's been how long from start to finish, basically, from the project? So the scientists got working on this, so to speak. So from start to finish to where we're at right now, how long has that process been, including the time that you've been involved?
Well, including the time that I've been involved, it's been since around 2016. Okay. The scientists started working on this project in 2016. And the first thing that they actually did a proof of concept, because a lot of these guys are like surfers. They actually made a biodegradable surfboard that actually went viral. But you know how it is today in our country now, we kind of almost live tribally because you have your own algorithms and your own lanes. So when this surfboard was biodegradable, it was a big deal in that space.
That's just wild.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, because one of the things you mentioned is being baptized, if you will, right? And just kind of having that aha, that awakening moment to kind of like what we're doing. So when you talk about the numbers in terms of how many people are all on the planet, how many shoes are created, when you buy a pair of Blueviews, if you will, I don't know if we're going to get fancy with them calling the Blueview ones or anything like that. But at the end of the day, when we get your first iteration of these, what is the expected shelf life if you even have that kind of level of detail and knowledge into it just as of yet?
No, that's a great question. So if we were doing a Q&A, I would have whispered in your ear and said, Ask me that question. That's a great question. And the shoe actually has a name. It's Blueview Pacific. Okay. And, that name came from the fact that, UCSD is in San Diego. They're at the Pacific. Those guys go surfing all the time. And, they've been so exposed to the dirt of plastic in the ocean. This was a lot of what, motivated them to want to actually do what we're doing. So the Blueview Pacific, it will take probably the better part of a year to biodegrade if you choose to biodegrade it, if you wanted to actually biodegrade it, because that's a great question. A lot of people ask that question. And if you don't want it to biodegrade, it's going to have the same life expectancy of a shoe that it normally has if you treat the shoe the way you normally treat a shoe that you like. So, if you put it in a situation where it's near moisture all the time and it's wet and all of that stuff, it'll start having some issues. But if you take care of it like the way you take care of any shoe, you'll be fine.
Nice. So I'm going to assume there is some sort of patent on the technology or patent pending potentially?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we, the science team is very, very connected.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of conversations in the industry about this. There's been a lot of other brands in the industry that have made claims similar to this. I think that we've actually awakened a lot of the industry, and I see a little bit less greenwashing happening now because there's many and enough that know that we're coming.
Dang. so hold on, you are you saying you put some people on pause because we can't rock with them, we can't do it like them, so they're just gonna bow out the game?
No, I think they're just going to upgrade their game.
All right.
Because the thing about this is different than the normal dog eat dog competition that happens in the footwear industry. We want everyone to use what we're doing at some point in time. At this point right now, we have to establish and we have to prove ourselves because, again, there's so much greenwashing that I think consumers will say, oh, these guys are saying the same thing these other people are saying, and so forth and so on. But we know for sure that we're the real deal because we made all of the sacrifices to be the real deal. That's
what's up. We're chatting with my guy, Rob Purvy, EVP of Blueview Footwear. My guy, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Bonafide. And we're back here on Dope Interviews with my guy, Rob Purvy. Make sure to follow him on IG at Swerve Vision. I love that IG, my guy. Love it. My dude. So we're talking about your latest project here with Blueview Shoes. And I'm excited. You're doing the right thing. And I think what we want to do here on my platform specifically is always tell the great stories about the good people fighting the good fight. And this is an immense fight here that you're doing, trying to change the footwear game here a little bit as we've discussed. So, me and you and I, we go back, so we can have a real conversation, right? So the shoes retail on the site now for about $135. I think it's an interesting price point for a newer brand. Is that something you feel like it's gonna have to kind of stay at that price point, or something that you look to maybe go down, in any capacity? Because I think it's almost like eating clean. If you go to whoever, your Whole Foods or whatever the case to be, hey, it costs money not to eat junk. So this is obviously something of quality, right? Yes. So is that the reasoning behind the $135 entry price point?
It was that, because I think what you're talking about right there is reality. It also was the fact that, we really studied the industry, looked at the cost of the shoes that are making that type of statement. Wanted to make sure that those that are really the most respected ones, what they cost, we need to be in that same ballpark. If we go super high, that's really saying that we're just trying to make a lot of money. If we go too low, and this, and I think in our culture, we know this even more so, if you go too low, then people think it's some BS.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's definitely a great answer. So there are a few colorways and styles out right now. Can you just, if you have some insight into that, what was kind of the decision behind what colorways we're going to first release?
Well, that came from, and again, when I drop these people's names, you can find them on LinkedIn. And, that's something else I like to try to help us with, because LinkedIn is a dynamic place.
It's amazing.
And we're on social media as much as anybody, if not more. But generally, we're not on the place to go and maybe find a job, because that's what LinkedIn is all about.
Yeah.
So the CEO of the science team and of the company is a guy by the name of Stephen Mayfield, and he's Stephen with a PH.
Okay.
You find Stephen Mayfield, you'll see what he's all about there. And, you know, he's the one that actually allowed us to even have this dream for us to be able to put things together. The president of the company is a guy that I've known for multiple decades now. His name is Tom Cook, and that's Cooke. And Tom Cook he's the visionary. He's the person that actually created the design, what the colorway should be, the type of shoe that it is. And a lot of that comes from this amazing experience he's had at being at a slide flip-flop company called Reef. Okay. And prior to that, he was at a long time in the success, the growth, the good, the bad, and the original ugly of being a very big contributor to Vans.
So there's a removable strap, and is the strap really just for added support? So why what's the decision behind that, to add that removable strap to it?
Primarily aesthetic and looking at fashion and seeing what's going on and what's hot right now. The other reason the strap is there is because the shoe is actually a unisex shoe as well. So we didn't even come out as a men's brand or a women's brand. We just came out as a human being brand.
Oh, I like that. I like that, man. You always good with the wordplay, my guy. So a couple of last ones before we let you get out of here, man, because I know you have a lot of projects kind of in the hopper, man. And I really do want people to go ahead and tap in, and go ahead and cop this immediately. Currently, as I looked on the site, the men's size goes up to 13. Is this a lane where, and again, not trying to take away from the altruistic movement, if you will, that you're doing, like trying to just kind of do the right thing. But do you think this is a brand in terms of like, hey, you're looking to eventually get with sponsors and celebrities to kind of get behind it, even with your overall connection to, the basketball world, the sports world environment, and trying to get, bigger sizes for bigger people and players? Is that something that you think the brand may ultimately want to do, or it's just, hey, it is where it is right now and people will find it and we're good to go?
No. That's exactly what you described is what we want to do, because, it's starting there, because obviously it's one thing about starting footwear brands. It's not inexpensive at all. So as soon as the revenue is where it should be, and we just have the opportunity and the time to take the sizes up, because we know that, if you got bigger than a size 13 shoe, it doesn't mean you're not caring about the environment as well. So we want to be there. There's definitely a target audience that's been identified, but we hope that target audience then becomes an overall everyone audience, because I think we all should be concerned with something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, good point. Luckily for me, I am a size 13, so it stops right at my size. So I'm right up in there, right up against it, bro. I'm definitely appreciative of that. Yeah. Rob, before we let you slide out, man, you've given us some great knowledge into the inside of what's happening here at Blueview Footwear. I'm really excited about that. Just in case people tapped in late, give us a 30-second elevator pitch. I know you can do it. A 30-second elevator pitch of why you need to cop a pair of Blueviews.
I think we should all be caring about our planet. This plastic pollution is something that's killing us. The average human being takes in about some really minuscule amount, but we all take in a certain amount of microplastic today, especially if you eat fish, because if you're eating fish, the fish is eating plastic. It's actually just what's happening in the environment the wrong way. If the shoe is really, really comfortable, we think that you would be feeling good about yourself for being able to protect the planet to a degree, help the planet, take this thing to the next level. And this brand growing and getting where it could go will only allow us to be able to apply our technology to some of the other plastic parts and pieces and things that are on this planet.
You heard it. Now rock with it. That is all the time we have for today. Thanks again to my brother, Rob, making the world a better place for real, for real. Make sure to cop a pair of those Blueviews. Visit the site at blueviewfootwear.com. Again, I'm your host, Warren Shaw, and this has been another dope interview, and we will catch you next time.
Together we stand, divided we never. The vision is one, striving for the better. Working as a team, working toward a dream. It's not even work when the team is the dream. On a united front, we got our own back. A band of brothers to counteract any attack. One heart in fact, forget what the blood say. Dope is what flows in this fam's DNA. So let's do it for the love, give to the max. Listen to opinion, but react to facts. And remember that together with a shh, but separate, just pieces of it. Dope is what flows in this fam's DNA. Dope is what flows in this fam's DNA.
Family represent like a tree with names on it. We're free, no chains on it. Relieved, the pain's gone, I can see. We come together like questions on the quiz. Mojo Flow and Viz, man, you know what it is. And if ignorance is bliss, you're gonna hate this lesson. Organized intellect like a tropical depression. My symbol is the cross, a mic and ghost peppers. Cause I'm just a black sheep, growing up to be a shepherd. Moonlighting as a weapon to protect the children. Every brother is a father, dynasties we're building. Max, J and K, Bay, and Isaiah, next level of the family foundation. Understand me?